What is up with this school? Everyone's against our MC. Is it because he's poor? Is this how rich schools are? It's like kid is poor. Fuck you.
I mean, I guess in this world, yeah, it's like not only are they poor now, they fucked up bad. It's like their parents blew all the cash on horses and cards. So it's like not only are they're poor for a dumb reason, and they got other people in shit, as we see with Blaise and the Marshals.
Oh, so he's Nigerian.
I mean, that can't be helped. I've checked the game files. Don't adjust difficulty for being Nigerian.
This is an unrealistic mistake.
So, welcome back to another episode of Crème de la Crème. Episode 2, even. After the solid reception on the first one, I thought, what the hell, let's do another. And in the spirit of trying new things, I'm keeping with the R&R for this episode, great cocktail. But I've also brought back Jaloo to give some commentary in the introduction and the conclusion about this. See what he thinks about the virtual novel. Thanks for coming on, Jaloo.
Yes, I'm watching over this. I'm here to watch over your decisions and judge them harshly.
Excellent. I'll be sure to make bad ones then.
Let's have fun.
Yeah. So, when you were younger, the strangeness of your parents' lives felt normal. Didn't everyone's parents stay up all night and return after dawn rejoicing about what they had won? They would egg each other on, daring each other to make larger and larger bets, all for the thrill of the risk. It was only recently that you realized the extent of the problem. Returning home from school, you found your father pleading with a pair of stone-faced women in suits, who said their employer wanted the money, now. In the end, he persuaded them to agree to an installment plan, but by that time, all your friends' parents knew what had happened. To pay their debts and to repair his broken kneecaps, they sold the house. Their former friends melted away, and the three of you moved to a small rented apartment in a less than desirable district of Fenberg. The money for the Gallatin College fees came from a trust set up by your great-grandmother, and could not be touched by the financiers. Now that we're caught up again, how are we going to react? Let's see here. Do I explain quickly? Do I talk about it with genuine distress? Do I say the actions were inexcusable? Or do I defend myself? Well, okay, the badass tomboy character is not exactly keen on gambling, but, that's only when you lose. And besides, what the hell does Blaise have to do with us? Freddy and Gonzalez mutter an agreement, and Blaise's lip curls. However you try to spin it, they say, they hurt people. My parents lent yours a whole heap of money when they came begging for their stupid games. And there is no hope of getting it back now. If my aunt hadn't been around to help us, we have been destitute. They glare at you. And anyway, this is my compartment. I write here every time we go to Gallatin. Everyone knows that. Okay, finally some drama. So, let's see here. Tell Blaise's trouble, I gather my things and go. Hell no, we're going down fighting. Blaise has no right to order me around. Meeting Blaise's angry gaze, you stand your ground, and after a long moment, Blaise turns on their heel and stomps out. Silence for a moment, and then Freddy gives a nervous laugh and cracks open his book again. Even on the train seat, Gonzalez manages to fall asleep. The train rumbles on. The landscape shifts from rolling hills to mountains, and the bright sunshine fades to stormy clouds. As the hours roll onward, the excitement of the train subsides, and most students are talking more quietly. The motion of the train is hypnotic, and even with your head leaning against the bumpy window, your eyes drift closed. The next thing you know, whistles are blowing, and guards are shouting once more. All change for Gallatin? You yawn and stretch. Freddy and Gonzalez have gone, and you can see the town of Gallatin out the window. Beyond the scattering of town buildings loom the jagged Gallatin mountains, smoky blue in the distance. Despite the heavy clouds, this town has a chocolate box prettiness that is entirely different to where you grew up. You grew up in? It's a good question. I hadn't thought of where I grew up in. Yeah, I know. The running joke for this whole playthrough is that my character's actually Nigerian, because in amidst all the, westernized and Arabic names, we just get like one random Igbo name. So obviously I picked that because I think, what better fantasy land can exist than West Ireland, Zalado, and Nigeria? The sheer incongruity of it. But seeing as that's not an option, let's say to, fit our fiery character, we're going to make her an uptown girl. We grew up in the middle of Fenberg. There was always so much going on in Fenberg. I'm bloody relieved it's the CBD. There were theatre shows, concerts, firework displays. Never a dull moment, if you had the money. Which your parents haven't for some time. The new apartment is far less exciting. Students scramble off the train in a rush, running for the tiny station entrance. With a sinking feeling, you realise that the mountain roads will be too narrow for cars, and the residents here seem to rely more on horses and carriages than anything more modern. You are caught in a bottleneck, and by the time you free yourself, only one carriage remains. Gonzalez is talking to the train conductor anxiously and doesn't seem to have noticed. At the last carriage, which looks barely large enough for 2 people, Blaise is handing a coin over to the driver. Yajide! Freddy trots up to you, looking worried. They never said we'd have to bring money. I thought somebody was coming to meet us. According to your invitation letter, somebody was. Perhaps there's been a mistake. Above you, thunder rumbles. So we get caught in the rain, and it occurs to me I have no idea when this game is set. I mean, obviously it's in a fantasy world, so I can't say, dare say, it's like 1950. I can't do that. But at the same time, they have cars, but people still rely on horse and carriages. This is like a fairly prestigious area. This is big money we're talking. So like from this, I'd guess like early 1900s? Like pre-war, perhaps? I mean, we're never really shown any technology past phones existing. And I'd say, you can judge this based on like social custom. But then again, as we know, this is a choice of games title. So social custom doesn't really mean anything. And I'd say, because of that, then I guess we're doing early 1900s. Doesn't make sense to the fashion, but hell, I don't even think in Scotland all the men wore kilts in 1915. But we're not in Scotland. We're in Westerland. And above us, thunder rumbles. I ready my leg and start walking. Freddy and Gonzalez can come if they want. Blaise has just been a dick to us this whole time. I'm not going to sit in a carriage with them for 2 hours. We just avoided that. So Freddy looks nervous about dragging the heavy trunk, but follows your lead. Gonzalez walks with a jaunty, effortless stride. There's a quality to the air here that you can't put your finger on. But now that you have more time to think about it, you have it. It tastes clean. More so than even the lowlands, where you're away from the city smoke. Even the heavy storm clouds feel fresh. As you trudge up the mountain, your ascent grows sharper and the road narrows. Beside the road, bright blue gentian flowers form a carpet of colour, stretching far into the distance. But the idyll does not last long. Lightning flashes. The lightning is so bright that it leaves an imprint on your eyelids. Thunder rolls almost immediately, and rain pelts down. You are soon soaked through, and the wind is rising, sending a wet chill to your bones. Freddy's teeth chatter. Yajide, do you think we should go back? I don't think this is such a good idea. Don't be a spoil sport, Gonzalez cries. Their black hair whips wildly, and they laugh in delight. Come on, Yajide, I'll race you to that rock. Without waiting for an answer, they race ahead in the rain. That's so stupid, Freddy yells, but the wind carries his voice away. So do I look for shelter nearby? Do I stop and wait? Do I try and cheer up Freddy? Do I run after Gonzalez? Or do I yell at Gonzalez to be sensible? Well, I don't think Yoshida exactly believes in sensibilities. And we don't exactly believe in trying to cheer up nerds either. And hiding is for pussies. So, well, I don't think there's going to be any cars on this road. I don't think there are going to be any horse carriages either. Let's run after Gonzalez. You catch up with Gonzalez as they leap atop the rock and punch the air. You jump up with them, and the two of you burst into gales of giddy laughter, while Freddy shouts something you cannot hear. And what's that? Horses' hooves? The clopping of hooves approaches, and a carriage emerges out of the pouring rain. Halts beside you, and a figure bundled in a heavy greatcoat leaps from the driver's box. You're for Gallatin College, right? I'm Carson. Get in. I'm supposed to pick you up. His voice is hoarse, but carries over the wind. What were you even thinking? He snaps as you follow him toward the carriage. Could have been killed out there, and no one would have known. Right, man. What do you think?
What is up with this school? Everyone's against our MC. Is it because he's poor? Is this how rich schools are? It's like, your kid is poor, fuck you.
I mean, I guess in this world, yeah. It's like, not only are they poor now, if they fucked up bad, it's like their parents blew all the cash on horses and cards. So it's like, not only are they poor for a dumb reason. And they got other people in shit, as we see with Blaise and the Marshals.
Oh, so he's Nigerian.
I mean, that can't be helped. I've checked. The game files don't adjust difficulty for being Nigerian.
This is an unrealistic mistake.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, it's not like Order of the Stick where ethnicity does affect difficulty. Yeah, this is a thing with all the choice of games titles, is that they're very liberal. It's like, you can date whoever you want, be whatever gender you want, be whatever race you want. It has no bearing on the gameplay.
Is this like France? Is this fantasy France?
Yeah. Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's supposed to sort of be like France, but also sort of like the United States.
Oh my god. This is what Japan thinks of the West.
Yeah, you know those weirdos with blue eyes and blonde hair and funny accents? They're from West Ireland.
Oh man.
I know, it's hardcore.
I feel stereotyped. This is Japanese racism.
I know, it's hilarious. And these are Westerners making this game. They're not even Japanese.
They're like, what do the Japanese believe we're like? Let's do this.
Yeah, I know. It's like Big Trouble in Little China almost. They got that same kind of reclaiming the cultural stereotype vibe. Like blaxploitation, that kind of thing.
Yes, for the most oppressed group of them all. Western white European man. What does this mean?
I don't know, but I just have this one image flashing in my head. Which way, Western man?
Westerlandia or Gallatin College?
This is why we're playing in Nigerian. And I'm not doing the accent.
Should have gotten a black friend to do it for you. Then it wouldn't be racist.
No, it's just xenophobic here. I mean, I'm from South Africa. It's like you could be racist against black people. Even black people can be racist against black people.
Oh yeah, the entire world doesn't run by American standards. I forget sometimes.
I know, it's unfortunate, but fortunately we have games like this to pretend it is.
Nice. What's the next decision you're gonna do?
I was going to ask you, what do you think?
Don't apologize. Never apologize. Don't show weakness.
All right, we're not showing weakness. So, you could have been killed out here, Carson says, and no one would have known. I bristle. He shouldn't have been so late. Or do I ignore him and hold the luggage on the roof? It's like, on the one hand, he is a commoner. But on the other hand, he is actually right. Now, let's pick a fight for this guy. I'm sure this will never bite us in the ass.
Establish dominance.
Yeah, I'll just flex on this guy. You should have made a telephone call to the station or something, you say crossly. Carson sighs and does not reply. But his carriage is warm and roomy. With a sharp command to the horses, Carson starts to drive. Compared to the rest of today's trip, this journey takes no time at all. You are still freezing, but your hands are beginning to thaw out. Carson thumps the roof. We are here. Gallatin College awaits. In the storm, you cannot see much of the college, but you have an impression of a long gravel drive and a tall stone archway. Carson herds you into a dark, grassy quadrangle lined with electric lamps. The blurring of the light through the rain gives everything a sickly orange cast. Yellow stone steps lead up to arching wooden doors, flying open, with heavy wrought iron handles larger than your hand. A heavy coat of arms hangs above the door, depicting a swan and a scroll, and beneath it is a carved inscription. Truth is found in gentility. Inside the entrance hall, it is blessedly warm. A fire roars in the marble fireplace, and a wide staircase winds upstairs to a backdrop of stained glass windows. Your clothes and shoes drip onto the intricate parquet floor. A tall, pale, neatly dressed student stands beside another set of doors, through which you can hear a muffled voice. She has an expectant expression, with a touch of a frown. "Thank you, Carson," says the student. "Of course, Miss Horseman," says Carson, ducking his head. Now that you're near the light, and his hood is down, it's clear that he's the same age as you, around 18. A servant, by his rug, clothing, and the way he's talking to Hartman. Carson makes himself scarce to fetch the luggage, while Hartman consults a clipboard. "Freddie Crawford, isn't it?" she says. "And Zuri Gonzalez. You two go in. I just need a quick word with Yejide Adeyemi." The others obediently troop in, leaving you with Hartman. Hartman is immaculately turned out, and her mousy hair is secured in a ponytail. "I am Eugenia Hartman, the head prefect. It won't be long," she says, with a faintly harried look. "Lady Reynal has already stated her address, but I need you to sign this. Everyone else already did, but your situation meant that the letter did not go out." Her knowing about your situation is less than comfortable, but you scan the piece of paper she hands to you. It's simple enough. All you need to do is let the teachers know what you'd like them to call you. You scribble on the form. Well, okay, I mean, obviously we're, slicing out all the guy stuff and the gender-neutral stuff, because we are playing a female character. Tomboy, granted, but tomboys are real girls. Let's just go with Miss Adeyemi. "Thank you," says Hartman, and she leads you through the doors. "Don't worry about your clothes," she murmurs. "You'll dry out in the warm. The important thing is that you hear the address." So we've turned up to school wet. I was hoping at least for a steamy romance first, but no, we're just getting right to it. And we're wet in a vast auditorium whose high buttresses soar overhead. Uniformed Gallatin College students sit upon rows of wooden benches with a faintly religious look. And oh great, now I'm getting flashbacks to high school. Hartman ushers you to a bench close to the back, and perches on the seat next to you, watching the stage with a studiously attentive expression. On the stage, beneath another swan-bedecked coat of arms, sits Lady Reynal, whose photograph graces the Gallatin prospectus. She's a dark-skinned woman in her late middle age, and wears a sensible but expensive dress the colour of mustard, along with a sable collar. Beside her sat a pale, grave-looking man in his 30s, a brown woman wearing a silk shirt and wide-legged trousers with glamorously red lipstick, and a tan man, barely older than you, who looks like he's been caught in the headlights. "Exemplifies excellence," Lady Reynal finishes. The dark student on your other side whoops sarcastically. "Shut up, Max," Hartman whispers over your head. Max's grin is sharp, and he theatrically rolls his eyes. His tightly curled black hair is braided against his scalp. "What?" he says loudly. "I'm showing my support to the college." A couple of younger students giggle. "I like this guy. He's based. Max knows what's up. Just gotta stick it to the man." I think there's only one choice here. I'm going to join in with Max's mockery. "I've only just arrived, and I'm ready to swear allegiance to it," you say, matching Max's dramatic tone. Max shoots you an impish look. "Ah, a companion in my love," he says. Hartman's jaw clenches, and she glares at you. "Max, Yejide, I swear, if I could marry Gallatin College," Max continues, Lady Reynal quells the two of you with a thunderous look, and he subsides. "Thank you for your attention," Lady Reynal said. "We will convene for dinner." The banquet hall. You've seen the Gallatin banquet hall in grainy photographs, but little could prepare you for this spectacle. 3 crystal chandeliers hang from the high ceiling, sparkling with light. Portraits of previous head teachers line the walls, along with a bronze plaque stretching nearly the height of the room, listing the prefects of the years gone by. The earliest date is several hundred years ago. Right, this is like a terrible fantasy world. I mean, I've had ass kisses for centuries. This is a long line and tradition of ass kisses. This is harrowing shit, man. And we're being harrowed while there's these long tables and benches that sit beneath the chandeliers. The tables have been elaborately set with silverware and decoratively folded napkins. Bottles of wine sit on the older students' tables, along with crystal glasses. For a moment, you are disoriented. Your fellow students file past you, and you realize that you'll need to quickly take a seat before they're taken. Blaise is holding court at a full table. There will be no room to join them even if you wanted to, which we don't. Hartman has led Freddy to a table of prefects, all who are talking animatedly. Gonzalez has followed Max to another table, where Max is met with backslapping and ragged cheering. Lady Renault gives Max a freezing look, but Max blithely ignores her. Well, we're not going to sit at the table with the nerds. And as far as I know, this game doesn't have a school shooter ending, so we're not sitting alone. So, let's sit with Max. Max looks you up and down, then shoots you a grin. There's plenty of room, he says, and makes space for you to sit. The teachers are sitting at a high dais like royalty, surveying the hall. Mr. Griffith is a nightmare, Max says, gesturing at the older of the 2 men with a fork. His expression looks like a permanent frown. And he's our house tutor, so watch out. Mr. Blanchard is much more of a pushover. You can get away with a lot if you butter him up. Just watch out for Hartman and the prefect committee. She'll grass you up for the tiniest thing. And dinner is served. After a long day, you're starving. The dinner is sumptuous. A delicate soup flavored with expensive spices, followed by various roast birds with crunchy roast potatoes. The servants top up the older students' wine periodically, and you notice a couple of tables getting a little overexcited. At least the food sounds good. I mean, soup is pretty good. I kind of like to know which spices they're going to use. But, with no further evidence to go for, I'm going to hope it's vichyssoise. That's a pretty kick-ass soup, and it would work well for, the heavy rains we're having. And roast birds are pretty alright. Again, duck and orange would be my favourite, but, bar that, hell, a good turkey. Can never say no to a good turkey. Roast potatoes, I think, personally, roast potatoes are a bit of a cop-out, since they're never exactly as crunchy as you would like. I'm really much more of a turnips kind of girl, but, bar turnips. Shit, I just think scalloped potatoes, honestly. But obviously, we are going to indulge ourselves. Going well, man.
Has there ever been a female school shooter?
Not entirely sure about that, actually. I know there have been female school murderers. Nevada Tan was a pretty popular one. She was like a Japanese teenager who knifed a fellow student, and that got big. That was big online.
So one person is just so low kill count.
Yeah, no. I know, there have been some school killings. I think, obviously, when you look more towards the third world, you're going to obviously find female students, involved in gangs, but that's pretty much a separate issue. Like, school shootings are like a white person thing. So, I frankly don't know if there's actually ever been a female school shooter.
Has there been a trans school shooter?
I think so, yes. But, biologically female,
They shot
no.
the grocery store. You mean like the guy who was obsessed with the ghost? Like the girl who was obsessed with the ghost?
I don't know the ghost girl.
So you can't be the first female tomboy school shooter.
Unfortunately, I don't think Crème de la Crème has firearms in it, no.
Dude, I really need to get a Monster Energy.
I don't think Crème de la Crème has Monster Energy
Before
either.
they close down the store, I need it.
I don't think this world has soda. What are you going to go now?
I can be back in 3 minutes.
Fucking run then, man.
I must have it. Please, I'm cracking. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
2 hours later.
So now that you've got your Monster Energy, let's go back to this.
Yes.
After several glasses, the room goes presently fuzzy. And you no longer really care that much about what anyone's thinking of you. After the main course, though, the servants switch to offering you water instead. Both Gonzalez and Max grow louder and louder as the meal progresses. When Gonzalez mentions their interest in sports, Max claps them on the shoulder. "If sports is your thing, you'll get it snapped up by Mr. Blanchard," he says. "The Gallatin Swans are a disaster. I stopped going to lacrosse in third year because it was such an embarrassment. And so boring." "How did you avoid it?" Gonzalez wants to know. "I thought extracurricular activities were mandatory." And so they are, according to the prospectus. Gallatin College is very proud of turning out well-rounded students, and you know the teachers will be encouraging you to participate. Max tapes his nose mysteriously, eyes dancing. "I have my ways," he says. "Besides, I'm busy with my little unofficial club. The Starlings know how to have a good time, and the best spots to do it, right under the teachers' noses." Gonzalez, who has been hanging on to Max's every word, turns to you. "Did you play any sports at all at your school, Yashide?" "Well, I didn't prefer spending my time in the library. I certainly wasn't a prefect." "So did I play team sports?" "I mean, we've established that Yashide is pretty good at running and jumping. Yeah, and swimming too. But I don't think that's exactly for constructive activities, no. She caused so much trouble in class that she wouldn't have been allowed on a team." "I was in the head teacher's office far too often to be on the cricket team," you say. Max gives you a wicked grin, showing his dimples. "Well, you'll have to show you've got the guts for it, but we're very welcoming. To the right sort of person." You tuck into your dessert. It's poached pears with maple syrup drizzled on top, then frozen to form a delicate lattice. Tiny flakes of gold leaf have been sprinkled over the concoction. Soon, Lady Renaud stands to announce the end of dinner. "Tomorrow, the term begins in earnest," she says. "Remember that in this time, you shall be setting the stage for your future achievements. Do not waste it." And the dormitory awaits. Ah, fuck, man. I wasn't actually recording the screen there. Shit.
Oh no. I mean, people can hear what you say.
Yeah, no,
Right?
it's recorded the audio just fine.
You read everything. What are they missing? What are the technical difficulties label on the missing time?
Yeah. With scuffling and chattering, the students file out the banquet hall. Hartman stands in the doorway. "New final year students, Clemency Building is this way," she calls. Though the rain has eased, the wind is still raging as you pick your way across the quadrangle path. You are the first to arrive. The Clemency Building, where your dorm is situated, is a hulking brick edifice with a sapphire-coloured door. Past the deserted post room, you climb a set of spiral stairs. There's a cosily decorated common room filled with plush couches and a flickering fire, and more steps up. By the time you've reached the dorm, you're growing dizzy. That would be the wine, yeah. It's a wide room, the dorm, lined with 7 neat beds with plain coverlets. Beside each bed is a narrow closet for your clothes and belongings. You spot your trunk at the foot of a bed, next to the window. Scruffle of movement beneath one of the beds. A student emerges, blinking. He shakes back his curtain of blonde hair. Behind it is a round, light brown face. "Oh," he says, "I didn't think dinner would be done yet. Do you want anything extra to eat?" He indicates to a box of fruit and sandwiches sitting on the bed. Right, so we've got the nerd, the Chad non-binary, the preppy non-binary, an asshole prefect, Max, who's a total bro, and now we've got a fat kid. Wow, I mean, I'm impressed. When Choice of Games said they stood for diversity, I didn't think they meant it this much.
This is what Zoomer schools will be like.
So, Yejide, she full from earlier? Well, she's full of wine. Let's say that much. You introduce yourself and sit. The student sits cross-legged on the bed and picks at one of the sandwiches. "It's too noisy in there," he says. "They'll be catching up with each other. As if anything interesting happened in the holidays. I prefer to have my own space." Gives up on the sandwich and tucks into an apple tart with much more enthusiasm. Called it. He's a fat kid. "I'm Delacroix. I was just warding my room. my tiny bit of the dorm against the ghosts while no one was here. Would you like to help? His expression is entirely serious. He dusts off his long fingers with a napkin. Okay, so we got a fat kid and a schizo, 2 for the price of 1. Nice. So, what does Yazide think about this? Is he delusional? Is she skeptical? Will she go along with it? Or does she believe in ghosts? Well, I mean, she doesn't believe in ghosts, but she's always believes in a good time. Let's go along with this for the ride. What's the worst can happen? Delacroix nods. He looks cautious, but he nods. He rummages through a black leather satchel at his feet and withdraws a bundle of herbs and a box of matches. Hold this, he instructs you, and lights the herbs before quickly blowing out the flame. There's a certain familiarity to his motions. He clearly has a great deal of experience in doing this. Follow me, Delacroix tells you, and then, murmuring snatches of a language you do not recognize, paces anti-clockwise around the bed. Once, twice, 3 times. You follow in his footsteps. Once he has finished, Delacroix's shoulders look lighter, though he is still unsmiling. And here's where we discover that Crème de la Crème isn't, like a romance wish fulfillment kind of thing for people who wish they're in Hogwarts but don't like real magic. No. This has got real magic and the Hogwarts ends fast. Ah, you believed me, didn't you? No, it is a romance. I run an occult group here, Delacroix says abruptly. The Children of Hecate. It's for people with a connection to the other world. Maybe you should get involved. She's not into this, but she'll partake. I mean, I think with Yazide, it doesn't sound like her sort of thing, but she's not exactly going to turn this guy down. I mean, he might be fat, and he's definitely a weirdo, but he seems like a pretty harmless kind of guy. So she'll hedge her bets. Says it might be interesting. Delacroix does not go so far as to smile, but he inclines his head. It is interesting, he says, and so much more than that. Voices and footsteps echo up the stairwell, and the rest of your dorm mates troop in, clattering noisily. Do you mind? Delacroix says waspishly. It is hard enough to get some peace without all of you yelling in here. I speak mockingly. Max has arrived, after all. Surely you won't get any peace here anyway, with all the ghosts around. Delacroix's eyes narrow, and with a chilly tone, he says, Indeed. I miss you, Delacroix, Max says cheerfully, and strides over to the bed next to him. He flings himself down, and then makes a face. I swear the springs are even worse here than in the Grey Storm. And that's saying something. And I'm wondering, what the hell did Max do to test out the springs that bad? Guess we'll wait and see. Freddy and Gonzalez follow suit. Hartman comes in after them. And, come on, this idiot again? Blaise strides in last. Blaise's gaze falls upon your bed by the window. I am absolutely not sleeping by the door, they say. They gesture to the bed closest to the door, presumably the one they were assigned. I get far too cold. You, Yazide, swap with me. What the fuck does this guy think he is? Well, clearly won't seeing how cold he gets. This is ridiculous. I'm calling him out on his nonsense. I don't think so, you say, coolly. Blaise's eyes spark with anger. I don't think you know how this college works, they say. I know enough to know that you're being petty, you tell them. Let this go. Hartman steps between you. Yajide's right, Blaise, she says quietly. Come on. If you're so upset, talk to the housekeepers. You can be moved to another dormitory. Blaise's jaw clenches. They turn on their heel and stomp over beside the door. 1 point to us. And silence stretches over the dorm. Freddy gives a nervous laugh, which breaks the tension. You settle down in your new bed, and sleep does not take long to come. There we go, man. That's the prologue.
You're not gonna join the occult thing? Change your mind over the occult thing. Join the occult thing.
Look, man, I'm considering the occult thing, yeah, but the Starlings, man. I bet they have, like, alcohol and rich people drugs.
Is this how the story goes? I am too poor to buy drugs. Now I must join the rich people for the express purpose of getting fucked up.
I would not be opposed to the story. It sounds pretty based.
It's like, what event catalyzed the story? The MC lost her beer money and drug money.
I think this is a pretty appropriate story. I mean, look, what else are you going to do? You got to improvise, you got to adapt, and you got to overcome.
Yes.
Julia's not, being a cultist just because she wants a high. Yeah, it says that Delacroix's got some fancy herbs, but they didn't smell too dank to me.
Yeah. It's like me with Monster. I just had to do what I had to do, you know?
Oh, what, you join a rich people delinquent club for Monster?
Yes.
To be fair, so would I. I think I did do that in a sorority.
You joined the sorority for Monster Energy?
Not for Monster Energy. The Monster Energy thing came later. Because there was this promo. I'm not even sure what it was, but there were Red Bull cans as like complimentary things. Like you turn up, you donate blood, and they give you a Red Bull. Ah, shit, it wasn't a Red Bull. Yeah, it was a Monster. And they give you a Monster if you donated blood. And somebody takes like 6 cans of Monster. And the chair blows her head off because this is like a sacred wound against her honor that somebody's stolen the Monster from her.
Do you think it hits harder? Like if you have less blood?
Oh yeah. I've gotten fucked up on like the day after donating blood. It hits hard. Not a good kind of hard, but it hits.
I should start donating blood.
I mean, you can just get into fights. I mean, blood loss, bruises,
I'm not a bleeder.
Well, okay, donate blood, man. I mean, like somebody needs the blood. There are a lot of bleeders out there, you know.
Why are you donating blood? To enhance the monster high.
Look, like the first time I donated blood was just to flatter somebody I had a crush on.
Did it work?
No, it turned out only later once I'm like strapped into the fucking dentist chair and they're siphoning out my vital energy. Do I in fact realize that they are dating my oldest friend who I've known since I was 3 years old?
Damn.
Yeah, man.
You donated to charity for no reason whatsoever.
Well, I'm pretty confident some bleeder somewhere is, alive because of me. Got a little bit of that typo positive running through their veins now.
Yep.
I mean, thanks for coming on, Jaloo. It's definitely been an interesting episode doing a VN with you.
Thank you. I hope the tomboy does get to show up to school, though. I hope.
We'll see how much destruction we can cause.
Hell yeah.
No guarantees on the school shooting. But until next time, he's been Jaloo, I've been L.A. Labuschagne, and this has been Crème de la Crème by Hannah Powell Smith. And we have finished the prologue. I may have gone too far in a few places.